a podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Dave X Media.
This episode contains mentions of death by suicide.
Some listeners may prefer not to listen to this episode today or at all.
We totally understand that and support you.
Life is too short to listen to content that makes you feel uncomfortable.
Tune back next week for some different subject matter.
And take care of yourself. Love you, bestie. Mwah.
I'm Christina Kahn.
And I'm Leela Hilton.
And this is Burn Before Reading, the podcast about literature.
We're here to examine the terrible writing we did when we were younger and talk about other cringy literary topics.
Our guest today is our friend Bekah. Say hello to the listeners, Bekah.
Hi, everybody.
Oh my God, what are your pronouns?
She, her.
Awesome. It's a she, her hat trick here today on Burn Before Reading. Bekah, we're so fucking happy to have you on the show.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, Bekah is part of our podcast community. You're in our book club. We chat like every day. I love internet friends because I can be like, I chat with you every day, and it is never like a burden or taxing the way that like if I tried to talk to real life friends all day, every day. Although I do, Leela, talk to you all the time.
That's true.
Anyway, maybe that horrible sentence that never ended will be my cringiest thing this week.
Okay, speaking of, Bekah, what is cringing you out this week?
So this is like funny cringy, but yesterday we had in our Discord server a PowerPoint party.
Oh, yeah.
And for some reason, what I was struck with as my ingenious idea to present was an introduction for the people that attended to smutty books. And I went from the tamest to the most unhinged, and like there was a lot going on.
That's a secret brag, though, because your presentation was hilarious and everyone laughed.
Everybody was really engaged, too, which I was really impressed with. I had several questions at the end, and I was like, I was not expecting this much interaction. I'm glad that I didn't traumatize people enough to need to pay for their therapy bills. I can't afford that.
Oh, awesome. Okay, I love that cringe. It is, like, undeniably, like, a little inherently cringe, but you rocked that presentation, so.
Well, I will also tell you, I don't think there is anywhere else that I would have shared that presentation. It was too cringe for that. So,
oh my God,
like,
I'm honored.
if you want a safe place to share your cringiest things you could ever present, definitely join the Patreon so that you can be part of our next PowerPoint party.
Yes. Oh my God. Leela, what's cringing you out this week?
So, there was somebody at work today who was like a male coworker who came up and was like, I work in pediatrics, so they were like, was so-and-so's mom, did you see what she was wearing today? And I was like, I can't even picture what she was wearing, so I guess it wasn't anything. Yeah, I guess it wasn't noteworthy. And he was like, oh my gosh, at least it's better than what she's worn before. And I was already like, don't fucking comment on women's clothes, man. These moms are doing their best. But he was like, she wears these super low-cut booby dresses and stuff, and it's so inappropriate. This is a pediatrics clinic. And the other girl who was there commenting on it was just like agreeing, you know. And she is extremely religious, so in like maybe a not a good way, like. So that didn't surprise me. I guess those types of women in my life that I've met tend to be pretty judgy quickly about other women.
Yeah, I feel you.
But he kept going, and I just was not even facing him.
That's like just so not the right setting to talk that. Like I might get a little lightheartedly judgy with my like bestest friends in the world if someone was doing something real crazy.
But I mean, I guess I just don't agree. Like, you know, because he's just like, and then he said, he's like, well, I mean, she's got, and I was like, what the fuck is this bitch gonna say next? And he was like, gotta be
giant
G's.
titties. Oh.
Yes. He was like, they've gotta be G's. And I'm just like,
oh. Oh no, I was so sure.
That's
I
the
was
size I
joking.
am, bitch. Like, do you want to keep talking about this? Like, I didn't
Oh
say that,
my
but I was just like,
God.
hey, maybe let's stop commenting about that because some of us in this office may even have similar body types, and that's a little uncomfortable. And he was like, well, no, you don't understand. I mean, it was just, they were just about to
You
fall
don't
out.
Understand.
Oh, no.
Leela
And I'm
doesn't
like,
understand boobs falling out of your clothes. She's never experienced
never-
that. Definitely not at the beach last weekend, right before my very eyes.
Wasn't me all weekend in the ocean.
Wait, did your boobs come out?
Oh my God, the whole time.
I think that if-
suit I put
there
on was
there was 6
not.
of us at the beach, and I think that I'm the only one whose boobs didn't come out. That's my cringe. No boobs.
It was pretty bad because
Just
I mean there was like
kidding.
families there and I didn't love that. Like
Yeah,
you
it
know
just
what I mean?
couldn't
But
be less appropriate. I can't think of anything less appropriate to talk about at work than someone else's body, especially a woman's breasts when you are a man.
In a
the-
pediatric clinic too. Like
It just like
Everybody
grossed me
understand.
out for him to be like they've got to be G's. No, maybe even bigger. And I'm like, stop! That's so uncomfortable. She would not like this that you're talking about her boobs right now. You give therapy to her son. Maybe you should just focus on that and a little less on her cleavage.
Do you think he guessed correctly? Just an honest to God question.
I was really not staring at her
so
apparently
you
as,
didn't
as
clock
intently as they do.
Because I feel like I have terrible boobdar. Like, maybe it's because I don't have any, but neither does he, I presume. Not
No,
gonna
he
make
doesn't.
assumptions.
And I have got excellent boobdar. It's one of my drunk party tricks. So-
I wear a size B, a barely B, and so I look at any boobs and I'm like, those have got to be double D's. All of them. They're all double D's, or they're just like me's.
Tino, what's been cringing you out this week?
Today, Sean and I were painting our front door. It's gonna really confuse you because before it was yellow,
Yeah.
and now it is yellow, but less faded. So we painted the front door. The cool thing about painting your front door is you have to leave your front door open for like 5 hours.
Oh, God.
Leela, what's the problem with that?
It's a little bit hot.
No, that's not even.
Oh, it's not safe.
It's the 4 cats. It's the 4 cats that want to go
Oh,
out
you
the
have
front
4
door.
cats.
Like the heat's not ideal, but we waited till the sun was on the other side of the house. But I do have 4 cats, and they are very, I definitely won't say smart, but they are intrepid explorers. And I taped up the front door with painter's tape and cardboard, which is like not actually structurally sound at all because it's cardboard's heavy and painter's tape is for coming off. That the point of
yes.
painter's tape is coming off. But you can't be putting like duct tape on your door frame.
Yeah.
So I taped it up real good. And then Sean taped it up again because he's an engineer. And then Sean had to leave. And I painted the front door. And I was cooking dinner. And I put up this big loud fan to like scare the cats away from the door. But I basically just... It's kind of like a cartoon, like a sitcom of someone like babysitting an infant for the first time, where I like could not stop stressing about it. I was like flipping my pork chop and then like running to the front door to make sure no one was escaping. And I couldn't find Dante for like 5 seconds. So I went like bursting out my back door and like running at top speed around my house. And my neighbors saw me. And I was like, oh, hey, fine, everything's fine here. And because I don't want them to think I'm crazy because I babysit for them sometimes. And then my cat wasn't there. And I was like, well, either he didn't get out or he's dead. And I just casually grabbed this little Amazon package, strolled calmly back, went inside. Dante was sitting right there looking at me like I was a fucking idiot.
Dude.
That's the end of the story.
Come on, Dante.
Now, well, it's not over yet because Sean had to do the second coat while I'm recording, and his attention is not the strongest of anyone I've ever met in my life. So I'm just like, please keep an eye on these kitties. So thoughts and prayers for my front door.
Not for your cats?
Oh, for my cats. But y'all, this is the real cringe. I can't see very well. And anytime I like zoom in on any part of my house, I'm like, oh no, it's filthy. Like I was painting my front door and I wiped it. I water wiped it. It's called washing. I washed it before I painted it. And it was black where people put their hands. Like black. You know?
Yeah.
Horrible. Disgusting. From just touching. Don't fucking touch my door when you come to my house ever again. Oh, God. Okay. Bekah, it's your first time on the show. This is so exciting. Tell us a little bit, well, because you brought one of your pieces to us today. So tell us a little bit about your history with writing. Like, what is your writerly history?
I don't have much, and I actually, when you put out the call for submissions, I was like, dang, I don't have anything I can submit. And I had to think about it for a few days before I was like, wait, I have this one piece that's not a fan fiction. I do have a few of those, but
We're not against fan fictions.
And so I was like, oh, I have that, and it's finished. Like, it is a completed story. But this is like the only thing that I have to submit unless you want fan fiction.
Okay. So mostly fanfic.
And not even a ton of that, just a couple here and there.
Yeah, we're not anti-fanfic at all.
Yeah, I think that I've a couple times I've been like, oh, let's roast some fanfics. And then I'm like, no, it has to be fanfics that people wrote and are bringing. You can't just go out into the wild and be like, let's roast this fanfic. It's like, what if that's a 12-year-old just getting out there for the first time into some Dramione fanfiction?
Yeah.
Trying to just start a name for themselves.
Yeah, some, like, girl or just doing her best, having fun, you know?
Yeah, I'm not trying to do that.
No.
Your book has to be really bad, or you have to be a really bad person. One or the other for us to roast your shit.
Hey, Bekah, do you write nowadays?
No, not really.
Okay. That's all right. What kind of stuff you be getting into?
I read an ungodly amount.
Oh, she sure do.
That's more fun.
Oh, yeah, Bekah is my friend where I go on Storygraph. If you haven't heard about Storygraph before, it's the indie alternative to Goodreads and it's far superior. And I'm like, I'm reading this new book. And almost every book, Bekah has already read it, which is, I pretend to be exasperated. It's actually great because then we can talk about it.
Yeah.
At this point, you just send in the Discord server. You're like, Bekah, you did it again. And the last time you did it, I just responded and said, what's the culprit? Because I immediately knew what you were talking about.
And I feel like the last several books that I've read that you had already read have been pretty mediocre. They've been like, I'm like, oh no, you said 3 and then now I say 3. Uh-oh. It's the stars out of 5. I don't know why I said it weird. Okay, so tell us a little bit about what you brought to us today.
Okay.
What will we be diving into?
I actually found the description that I had written for this at some point that I did not include in my submission because I forgot about it. It's very dramatic. It says, she would do anything to keep him safe. She always believed that she would, even if he never realized how much she loved him. Now that instinct to protect him may cause her to die.
Oh my God. Okay, what's the name of the piece? Did you write it for a thing? Did you write it for yourself? Where did you post this?
The name of it is To Die For. Very overdramatic. I kind of just wrote it because I wanted to.
Okay.
It's kind of the cringiest part about this is that it's a self-insert of how I saw myself, 10 years ago when I wrote this.
Sure.
What isn't a self-insert?
I did post it on Meba.com.
What's Meba?
So the only other time I've ever heard anybody mention it was actually MC on one of your episodes. She was like,
oh, really?
Yeah, she was like, and she said she'd never written anything on it, but she was like, yes, there's this one other website. It's like not AO3, not fanfiction.net, not Wattpad.
The other one.
The other.
Okay.
I don't even know if it really makes the top 5, but somehow I found it and I wrote and I put it on there. I did at one point start cross-posting the story to Wattpad, but I was looking back at that yesterday too and I realized I never finished it on there. Like, it was fully finished when I started uploading it there, but for some reason I said, only gonna put up half of this.
You gotta keep them guessing.
I guess.
All right, well, let's fucking read it. You're welcome to read it on your end. I'm gonna pull it up on the screen because it's hard to hear without seeing.
Okay, I'm going to summarize the first few chapters because they're kind of boring if we just listen to them.
Okay.
We have our main character, Aries is our female main character, and Kane is our male main character. They are BFFs, and she loves him, but she's like, oh, I'm not ever going to say that because he has a girlfriend and I'm good just being here on the sidelines.
Okay.
And they go through, set up their normal high school students. And then we get to this chapter that's very dramatic. And there's a guy that attempts to mug them.
Okay.
And they're like, she's standing behind him. And the mugger's like, well, now, since you've, antagonized me, I must kill you. Because I can't have witnesses to this mugging. Why he was going to leave witnesses in the first place, I couldn't tell you, even though I wrote him.
Who needs motivation? I just need plot.
Absolutely. Okay, this is where I have...
What's the name of that chapter?
Losers. It's the end of the chapter.
Okay.
So, making fun of them, she is, standing behind Kane, and then all of a sudden, she is, in front of him as the mugger fires the bullet. And he's like, that's not possible. How did that happen? And then she starts laughing at him, and he's like, you shouldn't be laughing. Oh
my god.
She goes, oh, but I should be, Ares said, just before kneeing the man in the groin. She then continued to knock him flat on his back and step on his wrist, shattering it and sending the gun towards Kane's feet. You see, she said, above the man's screams and sobbing, I'm not a weak little girl. That was your second bad assumption. And you want to know your third? She said, bending to put her lips to the man's ear. I would do anything for him. A bullet is nothing, and there was no way in hell I was going to let you hurt him. I don't care if it kills me. I will protect him as long as I live. You, however, won't be living much longer. I want you to remember something, though. Don't ever underestimate a girl's desire to protect the one she loves. And never underestimate a girl's strength. Goodbye, she said, reaching down and snapping the man's neck. She stood up.
Oh, my
Kane,
God.
She whimpered before collapsing.
Okay, first of all, feminism.
This is my fight song.
Oh my god. Okay, wait. So, okay, we already got a break to clarify a couple things.
Okay.
I love the name Ares for a girl, first of all. And it is spelled like Ares, like
Yes.
the god. Where did she learn how to fight, or is this just something she found deep inside herself?
That's not something I felt important to establish.
Okay. Okay, cool. So she snaps this man's neck, which I'm strong. I weightlift. I have what I consider to be like adult strength and rage levels. I don't know if I could snap somebody's neck, not physically, but especially with my hand. She just reached down.
As she's bleeding from a bullet wound to her side.
Oh my god, I forgot to start with her getting shot.
I will say, there are several weak points to this story. One of them is that I definitely did not understand anatomy.
Yeah, wounds and anatomy, yeah. Okay, so then she stood up. Kane, she whimpered before collapsing. What? Is she collapsing from the wound?
Yeah, the adrenaline has now left her, so...
That happened really fast. I think the adrenaline stays in your system for sometimes a day.
You would think. Now. 10 years ago, apparently I didn't.
Well, and she needs to become vulnerable. She was strong for Kane, and now she needs to be vulnerable for him, Catch me as I faint.
Yes, the drama.
Leela, do you have any notes about this section?
No, I don't think so. I definitely feel like I need more before or more
need
after.
more before,
to
more after.
actually read it.
Okay, well, I will also note that... Wait, how old were you when you wrote this?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, probably 14 or 15.
That sounds right. The spelling is generally correct, but these sentences, these commas are crazy.
I will admit, I still overuse commas, so that
Commas are
part
hard.
may not have improved.
They're hard. I love, okay, one thing, I love it on this podcast. In real books that I really read, I hate it with all my guts. When authors write, la la la, living our lives, casual tone, and then there's a very epic fight scene in the same casual tone, Oh, but I should be, Ares said, just before kneeing the man in the groin. She then continued to knock him flat on his back and step on his wrist, shattering it and sending the gun. You know what I mean? Like, authors, I think a lot of time are like, different writing style, crazy, frenetic, short sentences, action, action, action. But I love, like, the business-like manner. She continued to knock him flat on his feet, you know. Okay. And then you say, wait, read this.
So I think the real star of the story is my author notes. They're so funny.
Yes.
So the author note for this chapter says, I must admit, this scene was the whole reason I started this story.
So you had like a vision of this girl to die for-ing her crush. I like that we started by getting the to die for right away. So author's notes. So I'm not big into fanfic, and I'm not big into I've never really been that into fanfic or into like writing, online writing. Like that just was never something that I was into. No shade, just didn't do it. Had a lot of parental controls when I was in high school. Could not get on a lot of these websites. So I know that author's notes are like a hallmark of fanfic, because I read My Immortal. And the author's notes are the B plot of My Immortal, the legendary Harry Potter fan fiction. So did these other sites where people were posting original stuff like Wattpad and what's this one you say is Amoeba?
Yeah.
Okay. Did those also, was it like normal to have author's notes like this? Kind of like doing a little explanation or update or whatever?
I can't remember. I know, obviously, I always put them. I can't remember if there was like a section for this is your author's note, or if it was just like, I just like inserted a break so that you knew this was the author's note. It probably wasn't uncommon, because I think those were also heavily used for fanfic, so like, that's just what the people that used them were used to.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Okay, what are we reading next?
Then we have a lot of summary again before we get to the good parts. Oh, actually, we have a dramatic moment in the next chapter.
I was gonna say, I'm reading something very dramatic right now.
Yeah. Can we read a little of this?
Yeah, which part did you want?
I think just start.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe just this page.
Yeah.
God, Kane was a little rough with that last wrestling match. My side is killing me. Wait, where am I? Ah, shit, that wasn't a dream, Ares said as she opened her eyes. Nice to see you too, Miss Suna, a man in a white robe said to her. By that comment, I'm guessing I've been out of it a while, Ares replied, still trying to get her bearings. Oh, only 3 days, the doctor replied. 3 days? Ares said, raising an eyebrow. You're telling me I've been out of it for 3 fucking days for a simple bullet wound? Why didn't you wake me up sooner? Easy, Miss Suna. We couldn't risk waking you. We had to let you wake up naturally due to the anesthetic we gave you when we removed the bullet. Anesthetic? Are you serious? Who the fuck uses anesthetic anymore? I was already out of it. I wouldn't have given a damn if you ran me over with a 100-ton armored truck, Ares replied, closing her eyes.
It says tank. I want to be clear with this visual.
Fair.
That's a tank. Oh my god.
Be that as it may, Aerie, most people don't feel that way. They have to assume everyone is a wimp who can't handle a bullet like you. Thanks, Doc. I'll watch out for her for a while, Kane said, walking into the room. Thanks, Kane, the doctor said, leaving the room. You let me sleep for 3 days, Aerie said, turning to Kane and opening her eyes. You took a bullet I thought you could do with the rest, Kane told her. Why would I need that? I'm not a wuss. Aries, you are an idiot, Kane glowered at her. You think I don't know you're not a wuss? You moved 5 feet in less than the time it took for him to fire the trigger and took a bullet for me. I know you're not a wuss, but what the hell were you thinking? You could have died, Aerie. Why would you? So could you, she returned quickly. You would have died, Kane, and I wasn't going to let that happen. You know me, I have no sense of self-preservation, and even if I did, my friends are far more important than I am anyway. She finished, giving him a devil-may-care smile.
Devil-may-care. Okay. I don't even know where to begin. First of all, in addition to not knowing anatomy, you also don't know how guns work. Fire the trigger.
Not surprising at this point in my life.
Oh my god. I don't even know where to begin. The notion. Okay, wait. Okay. I have so many questions. Is this set in Modern times.
Yeah.
Okay. So in modern times. Okay, and how old is this girl?
18.
Okay, so in modern times, an 18-year-old girl wants to know who the fuck uses anesthetics anymore.
I was like annotating this yesterday so like we could talk about it. And
nice.
I literally wrote,
That's prepared.
everyone, why did I need to make her so tough?
Because second wave feminism, like, totally spies. She wakes up so quickly, like, there's never been any anesthetic in her body the way that she's waking up, like, I'm awake and I assess that I've been out for a while and I am also in a rage suddenly. And all the times I've come out of anesthesia has been like, Mommy, oh, I love you.
Yeah, I always throw ups.
Oh, really? You guys throw ups?
Yeah, anesthesia makes a lot of people throw up, I think.
Oh, really? That's scary. You mean like coming out of it or go? Because
think
doing it
coming
while
out of
you're
it.
under is scary as
Yeah.
hell. Coming out of it. That makes sense. You're disoriented and your brain probably triggers the same thing it does when you're like reading in the car where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, things aren't adding up. You've been poisoned.
I like the switch in POV at the beginning there. It was interesting.
Wait, it wasn't though, because this is Aries still.
Yeah, but it's not. But do you see how it's like, it's killing me? Where am I? And then she's like, Aries said, as she opened her eyes.
Okay, but Aries is the girl, so Aries is like thinking this.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, but no, I think Leela's right. It goes from first person in that first paragraph to third person for the rest of the chapter.
Oh, so I mean, if you were to put this in italics, then
Yeah,
that would be like
help.
a thought. And
You know
then
what else I didn't
see what you're
understand
saying.
when I wrote
see what you're
this?
saying.
Formatting.
Formatting. Oh, I like. My site is killing me. Wait, where am I? With like no comma, no question mark. Just wait, where am I?
My side is killing me. Wait, where am I?
Yeah, there you go. That was better than me. I was trying to read it neutrally, but I'm like kind of laughing all the time with everything I say. So, shit, that wasn't a dream. And then the doctor's like, "Nice to see you too. Very cunty doctor. That's not how you treat a patient who's just awoken." So, I need. At this time, Bekah, I think we do need a little bit more. Tell us about the worlds. Are they in like our world? Is this a contemporary fiction? Are there like fantasy elements? Is this girl a spy? Or are they like so regular? Are they regular ass high school kids?
Yeah, is it
They're
like
just
a Hunger
normal
Games?
high schoolers.
Oh, okay.
In one of the chapters we like grazed over, it's established that he plays football and she's just a band geek.
Oh my
Like
god.
you, Tinta.
While I'm on the bleachers where the pants sits. That's so crazy because this girl is talking like, book 3 Katniss. Like, she is like, she's like, no, but Katniss was really disoriented then. But just to be yelling at a doctor about his choices with your bullet wound is so crazy.
She's feisty.
She's feisty,
Yes.
y'all. Well, what would you expect from the God of War?
Right.
Are there any repercussions for her killing that guy, or is that going to come up again later?
No. There is actually one
Okay,
point
great.
later where a police officer shows up to like tell her something, and Kane's like, "What if they're here to prosecute you for that guy?" And she's like, she goes, "Maybe they decided to prosecute me for killing that guy. Whatevs. I don't really care."
She doesn't even care.
Whatevs. I don't really care. That's so funny because a couple weeks ago I got a speeding ticket, and when I went to go try to pay it, I'm not in the system, and I am very stressed about what's happening. Can I pay it? Are they gonna come for me? But to be like, murder? Whatevs.
She is something else.
Reckless. She's reckless. Okay, what are we gonna? Oh wait, Leela, do you have any more questions or notes about this section?
Yeah, what does Aries look like? And what does Cain look like?
Thank you. Great question. Let's get a visual going.
Unestablished. Probably just, normal. Not blondes. That doesn't fit their stereotypes or their personalities. Definitely dark hair.
Does Aries look exactly like our friend Bekah?
No. Probably the stereotypical, small, undersized, feminine heroine that nobody expects to be able to kick their ass the way she does. So that she will be underestimated.
Wow.
She's not even like a hot buff lady. She's just like a scrappy.
We didn't do buff back then.
You're so right. Yeah, we
Buff
didn't.
ladies?
How'd she
No
fucking
way.
snap that guy's neck with her little tiny
I know.
wrists?
Like, I'm thinking about, I don't know anything about snapping a guy's neck other than what I've seen in movies, and they make it look easy, but not without force. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it usually looks, first of all, like a two-handed affair. I don't know, because you got to make the one part of the neck go the wrong way and the other part go the other way. You need two forces working against each other. I'm wiggling my hands dramatically. The listeners can't see. So yeah, I kind of just can't get over the neck snapping.
She also does it while he's laying prone on the ground, and I just now understanding a little bit more about neck snapping, I feel like that would be the most difficult position to do that in.
Yeah, that's the position you put a baby in when their necks are so snappable. Put them prone. Can't snap this neck. I dare you to try. Can't roll over. You're only 3 weeks old. Thinking about our friend Paul, who's 3 weeks old.
Our friend Paul, he is an infant.
Okay, what are we reading next?
So she stays in the hospital for a little longer. She wakes up again. She bolted awake and found her hand around the throat of the person who had been calling her, ready to choke the life out of them. It was the doctor.
Why does she have war flashbacks? Why? Why does she have war? This is the way I would expect a Vietnam veteran to awake.
Yeah. Does she have a lot of trauma in her backstory?
There's some, but nothing to this extent.
Nothing that would require physical. Again,
Yeah.
This is a Katniss impulse.
Totally.
And then the doctor's like, oh, well, Cain told me to tell you that he left. It makes sense now that he didn't want to wake you up.
Okay, well, that's kind of funny.
What does she say there? Aries chuckled. You didn't wonder why he didn't do it himself. This is always how I react when someone wakes me up.
Okay.
Babe, are you well?
I don't know
She
why.
is not.
It's just a reflex. This reminds me of I might have talked about this on the show before, but my own personal Don't Wake Daddy. Leela, have I talked about this before?
No. What is it?
Do you know that game Don't Wake Daddy?
Oh, you have talked about this, but it's not a game that I ever heard of or played.
Okay. Can you see my screen still?
Jace.
Okay, Don't Wake Daddy was a very real traumatizing game where you tried your best to not wake Daddy. And if you did, he would pop up and you lose. And it was the scariest thing in the world. Oh my god, first of all, there's a movie called Don't Wake Daddy. Okay, very scary. My dad was a total Don't Wake Daddy. And he woke up like this for no reason. Okay, so I can't explain anything, but I guess what I'm saying is Aries is not alone. Although my dad would never wake with murder, just panic.
Just before you even open your eyes, you're going straight for the neck.
Right,
Yeah,
how do you
like
even
what?
know where the neck is? You're that good at echolocating where the voice came from?
Because, the way that, Leela, you've described Jason waking you up, so gently, like a tender husband, a doctor just shouldn't be in your face such that you could grab his neck, you know?
Yeah, I guess not.
Maybe
Yeah,
if he's
so,
checking your vitals while you're asleep, but not if he's trying to wake you up. His face should not be within grabbing distance.
So then, does this indicate, I'm asking even though I'm the one that wrote it,
We'll figure it out
does this
together.
indicate that she would be able to launch herself across the room to choke someone
Interesting.
without being
Interesting.
conscious?
This is so crazy that she has the same training that I had when I was 18 and all I could do at that age was work at Claire's. Oh my god.
I was a hostess at a steakhouse.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Was it? No.
it was Hondo's in Innsbruck.
It was
No,
what?
I was 18.
Hondas?
wet hondos.
Oh, Hondos. Oh.
There was just creepy businessmen. One time a guy grabbed my 18-year-old butt
No.
from behind the hose stand. And I was like...
This is my safe space, sir.
I was so virginal at that time, too. No man had ever touched my butt.
Oh my god. This is womanhood, y'all. But not for Aries, because she's gonna kill a motherfucker.
Yeah, Aries would never stand for that. She's a better feminist than me, clearly.
Lila, did you write this? The last time he woke me up, I almost killed him before I realized it was him, and he meant me no harm.
I don't almost kill him. So, Bekah, just so you know, when I have these this like sleep paralysis demon thing that happens sometimes when I'm waking up and I see it makes the face which is Jason's turn blank in front of me. It used to happen with my mom, but now it happens with Jason, and it turns into
Poor
like
guy.
a scary Slender Man face, and or an evil face. I don't
Never a nice husband face.
No, and the way he wakes me up is like, "Hey, sweetie, I love you. It's time for bed." But I freak out and I wake my own self up from my screaming.
Slenderman saying that to you is still very upsetting.
Why do you sound like my husband? What is this?
I should have said that my cringiest thing this week was that I got sleep paralysis for the first time in like a year a couple days ago, and it was horrible, and I forgot how horrible it is, and I just want to never sleep again, but not really, because it's my favorite thing.
What a mood. It being your favorite thing, not the rest of it. That sounds traumatizing.
Right. Yeah, it's terrible. And Sean, luckily I've trained him to identify the signs, but he is like still very, I tell him that he needs to Inception level jolt me out of it. You know, you guys know Inception, you have to like crash the train or whatever for them to like jump out of the Inception.
Yeah.
But Sean is like petting my little head. He's like, Tina, are you having sleep paralysis? And I'm like, you need to grab my whole body with all your strength and rattle my bones. Like, I need you to like, Regina, you're having sleep paralysis. So we're still working on that.
We have very opposite sleep paralysis
I know
problems.
we do. I get just stuck in this like deep hole, like the teacup, and get out. I just go down and down.
Yeah. I guess what jolts me awake is my own screams. It's
Okay,
fun.
so maybe we should sleep next to each other so your screams can jolt me out of... No, you're right, we did try, and I had to sleep in the car because I had some unexpected
I kept
snoring.
snoring.
Some unexpected snoring in the night. I was like, oh, just Courtney on this trip? Courtney doesn't even snore that bad. I could totally live with that. And meanwhile, Leela's face is like right in my ear. And I was like, well, I'll just go out to the car, have a little sleep. It's cool, baby. That's why I bring the big car. I'm gonna sleep in that shit. I'm gonna
Shit out of us because at like 4 a.m. I actually feel like it went off again, but maybe it was just that
Wait,
one time.
I can't believe there's so many cringy things I did that I didn't say were my cringiest thing.
She set the panic, like the car alarm off on herself.
Here's what happens. If you're in a car, you're sleeping in your SUV. You go inside, you cuddle down, you lock the door because you don't want to get assaulted by people in the
Absolutely.
beachside trailer park. Yeah, you lock the door because you're vulnerable. And a woman, a beautiful sleeping woman. Boys just love kissing sleeping women. I've seen Snow White. Okay, but then I was like, wow, it's actually really muggy in here. I need to roll down the windows. So I put the key in the ignition. My car said, whoa, there's no one in this car. I'm locked. What on earth is happening? Keys can't go in this car. I'm fucking locked right now. This is an intruder. So it sets off the alarm. I repeat that it was a trailer park. So my bestie's sleeping little heads were, I'm not joking, probably 4 feet from my car engine at 4 a.m, just blasting. I was like, going down the list, I was like, who's the most panicked? I was like, I think Bekah would react the poorest, and she's the farthest away, so thank God. Just because she would have been worried about me getting kidnapped. Okay, and then when I woke up, I did the exact same fucking thing again at like 7 a.m. Yeah.
At least that could almost be qualified as a decent hour.
Yes, that one I felt less bad about. I was like, whoopsies, good morning. Yeah, the 4 a.m. one was rough for everyone.
Courtney sat up and was like, there's someone in Tina's car. And like what she described was she looked out the window and she does not have good vision without her glasses on. And she looked out the window and just saw a shadow of a hunched figure.
It was me hunching from the back.
Tried to turn off the alarm, and she was like, I think she was like, am I about to kill someone? And I was like, guys, no.
She's not in bed with me. It must be Tina.
They're like, there's only one person in that bed. Oh, I hope it's Layla. No, it's me. It's me.
It was me and my Harry Potter pillow in the car, just trying to get a good night's sleep.
Anyway.
Which in the end I did, starting at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
What a detour. Guys, sometimes cringiest thing is not enough time to tell you about all the cringe we've done.
We remember later. We in flashbacks.
Save this for next week? Never. We're going to have a dumb new thing next week.
I fell and scraped my knee.
Leela, I actually have been noticing that you haven't been hurting yourself as much lately, and I'm very proud of you.
I've been working on my balance in PT. Thank you so much for noticing.
We fucking love that. Okay, what are we reading next?
Okay, so Kane's dad shows up to visit Aries in the hospital.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, kiddo, how are you doing? And she goes, I'm bored as hell and can't wait to get out of here. It's kind of lonely, too. You're the first person that's been to see me other than Kane, and he hasn't been around since he told me off after I woke up a couple of days ago. Of course, I've been asleep most of that time, so I haven't really noticed. Kane's having a rough time with this, Gary said, looking in her eyes. Imagine how you would feel in his position. His best friend, who is of the so-called weaker sex, was wounded by a bullet meant for him. He keeps torturing himself with what-ifs. He just sits in his room and with his head in his hands, and I can tell that he's thinking to himself, what if she had died? What would I have done? He would fall apart without you, Aries. We all know that. And the idea that he almost lost you is enough to make him start questioning himself. I'm not asking you to have pity for my son, Aries, just to put yourself in his shoes.
Oh my god. You know how people talk to each other in full paragraphs. Did I use woof correctly? Was that the right time to do woof?
Absolutely. I literally,
okay, thanks.
When I was annotating, I just drew a line to that. It's the so-called weaker sex part, and I just said, why? Why did I write that?
Well, you wrote so-called because feminism.
I guess at least I did that.
One thing that's standing out to me here is that Dad said he would fall apart without you, Aries. We all know that. And it's so funny to me because when I was a kid, I had a lot of friends. So I know, surprise, surprise. I cared about them all very deeply. I had a lot of like passionate friendships. And my mom used to be like very worried about where that like could lead, you know? And she would always be like, this friend is not the universe. Like, her problems are not your problems. Like, please snap out of it. So it was very funny to me that Gary's like, well, you have to stay his friend forever and alive because otherwise he'll explode. He can't go on without you.
Their relationship is very codependent. And I literally just wrote here, and you're just okay with this codependency?
Yes, exactly, Gary. First of all, who Gary named his son Kane? What on earth?
Okay, so the names for Aries and Kane were definitely supposed to like establish they are badasses.
Sure.
Especially Aries more so. And I did skip over the part where I established their nicknames. I chose Aries because I wanted to refer to her as Airy, which means lion.
Oh.
And for some reason, the nickname I came up with for Kane was Zeev. Z-E-E-V, because it means wolf.
My eyes are so big right now, Bekah. That's fucking bananas. That's a batshit choice. First of all, one syllable names don't need no nickname. They don't need a nickname. His name's already Kane. Oh my god. Do we have any friends with one syllable names?
Wes.
Well, yeah, but he's not. He's our friend.
Yeah.
We love him, but we're not like toy with him. Not enough to be granting nicknames. Let me
Drew.
think. Charlie, Drew, and we called him Dick for a long time, but that was a college thing. Oh, he's got nicknames, but they're all Drew. It's like Drucifer. Maybe I just made that one up because he's a villain. Oh, Drew. He's married to Rachel. from 2 episodes ago. You know Drew, guys. He was doing all those dishes sounds in the background of our whole episode. No, I edited most of it out, but he was doing dishes for 90 minutes, I swear to God. Frank. Josh. We don't call him, well, just Frankie sometimes. That's all. Well, Frankie Panky one time, too.
And see, but those are at least elongating their names.
Yeah.
On what planet do you get Zeev from Kane?
I don't fucking know. Like, I really don't. Zeev is insane. If an 18-year-old was like, hey, my name's Kane, but you can call me Zeev. I might be nice because I'm progressive.
They don't introduce themselves as each other because only they are allowed to call themselves that nickname.
Oh, well, people in private relationships are bananas, so maybe... Maybe.
It's like, I could call you Pookie.
I was thinking about what Sean calls me. He calls me Beans a lot of the time, but it comes from my name still. It's like Tina, Beana, Beans. It goes, there's a thing. What does Jason call you, Leela?
Nini.
Leela. What? Wait, what was that?
It's kind of a private thing.
Oh, then don't say. You don't have to say.
Nini.
Wait, why?
I don't know. We just started it in college with this horrible, like, baby talk thing. And so, like, I'll call him Dee, and he calls me Nini.
Oh, my God.
I know.
When my brothers were little, they called me Nini because Christina's kind of a mouthful.
Totally.
Wait, so are you saying Nini with N's?
Yeah.
I think so.
For some reason, I heard Meanie.
Oh.
I heard Meanie the first time, too. And I was like, well, if you're mean, I guess you deserve it.
Yeah, I'm pretty mean to him, but he would never call me that. My kid calls me Nini and Dee, and I also call him Nini and Dee. Okay, and then, which sounds like Grandma and Grandpa now that I'm saying them together. Yeah. Going over to Nini and Dee's house.
My grandma was literally named Dee.
Maybe that's why I think
my other one was literally called Nana. Close enough.
It's so close.
Becca, does anyone close to you call you any sweet little Nicky names?
The most we get is sometimes, like, my friends will call me Bex. But that's one of those things that, like, I like it, but I would never introduce myself as that. That feels like you have to, like, earn it. You have to get there and establish the relationship before you get there.
Yeah. That's how I felt about Tina for a long time. But now everyone just calls me that because I record podcasts with my good friends, so everyone just calls me Tina, and I have come to quite like it. It was hard to transition from Christy to Tina. I was like, but Tina's not cool. But I looked in the mirror and I realized, like, yes, she is.
Yes, she is.
Okay, wait, back to Gary.
Gary. You've got, like, Aries. Kane.
Gary.
And also I noticed that Aries was calling the doctor Doc, which is a thing no one does.
I guess, like, maybe, like, dads or grandpas, maybe?
Yeah, maybe dads or grandpas. Or tough girl Aries.
Yeah. There was a part earlier, back in the, a couple pages back, maybe on, like, 10 or 11, about a bloody shirt that just the way it was written just tickled me a little when it passed by. Keep going up. There it is. Yeah. Okay. The doctor handed Aries a piece of cloth. When she looked at it closer, she realized it was the shirt Kane had been wearing the night of the football game. She then realized it was brownish color, the color of dried blood. The shirt had been soaked with blood.
Becca just tried to skip this.
Which can we just establish, why does the doctor have Kane's shirt?
Why is he like, look what you've done?
I just
so a girl who's just come out of a 3-day coma. I don't know if they call it that if it's only 3 days.
Like, if it had been her shirt, that would make sense. Okay, they cut it off for you to do the surgery, but like,
yeah. I like that Aries says arsehole, which she's not British, I'm assuming.
It seems like an American girl.
I wrote question marks over every time I put arsehole. I was like, why did I do this?
Was it like a I'm not swearing thing?
I don't think so.
No, because it says fuck all over this place.
Yeah.
Okay, back to Gary. So, does Aries not have family? Why hasn't anyone been to visit her?
Oh, Just you wait.
Okay, it's coming.
It's actually the next page.
Oh, great. Okay.
We don't have to wait too long. Okay.
Here we are.
So she and Gary talk a little bit, and then Aries started to say something when suddenly a voice yelled down the hall, "Where is she? Where is that little bitch? She just had to go and get herself shot.
Oh,
I'd rather
my
she
God.
go and get herself knocked up. At least then she'd be a proper disgrace."
Oh my God.
Aries looked grimly at Gary. "I guess Mother finally decided to surface from her bottle long enough to find out where I've been."
Damn.
"Oh, looky here," a voice said sarcastically from the doorway. "The little hero and her future baby daddy's father. You little bitch, how dare you get yourself shot? Do you know how high my medical bill is going to be? Well, I can tell you one thing. You're going to be paying it. All of it. I refuse to pay for a little bitch's." And then Gary cuts her off.
Yeah, Gary.
First of all, Gary. Oh my God. Wait, can you please read what Gary says?
"That little bitch, as you call her, is your daughter, Vivian, and if you call her a bitch one more time, I'm going to have the police search your house and find the marijuana plants in your basement. So choose your words carefully," Gary said, standing up and facing Vivian.
First of all, God bless Gary. Oh, he's a true ally. I just thought that was very funny. Gary. But he can't call the cops. He needs to keep that in his back pocket so he can keep threatening her with it.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Also, I like how marijuana was the worst thing I could come up with. Not a meth lab or something like that.
No.
Just marijuana.
Marijuana. A lot of my writing from this time is really like, can you believe the reefer?
I mean, we were pretty much taught in Dare that it was
Yes.
equivalent to heroin, so...
Yeah,
Yes.
that's one of the parts. There are many reasons why this is a product of his time. But that's definitely one of them.
The marijuana place. Honestly, it sounds like Vivian isn't smoking enough weed because it chills you out and makes you not hate your daughter that much.
I absolutely did not know that at this point in my life.
Oh,
What
my
drug
gosh.
would you guess she would be on to, like, help contribute to this behavior?
I think the booze is plenty for what's
Yeah.
going on here.
Yeah,
For real, like this kind of alcoholism. I know I'm like, I'm an alcoholic, but this is like honest alcoholism, and I think it does make you mean and mean. She probably has her own medical bills to deal with from her cirrhosis.
True.
I got to this part and I was like, I just kept writing "what" in all caps because I could not believe what her mother was saying.
I know.
And then I also wrote, "I love her. She's so chaotic."
It's just like, I mean, I'm very lucky. I don't have an abusive mother. I just feel like even a pretty abusive mom would know better than to like scream in the hospital. How dare she get herself shot? Like usually they put on a face in
Yeah.
public where they're like, oh, I'm boo-hoo so worried.
Vivian don't give a fuck.
Vivian, that's such a bitchy mom name. I cannot even begin. Like fucking what's their last name in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? Anyway, her name was Vivian.
I can't remember.
I am pretty sure if I had to guess, if I named this person after a character, it was after Vivian Kensington from Legally Blonde.
Yes.
A bitch. No, just kidding.
When
She's
I
friends.
try to dress
She's
up like a
nice.
first bitch, I try not to look so constipated.
Oh my god, what a good line.
Absolutely.
Oh my god. Okay.
Oh, this is another point where my author's note is absolutely fantastic. Vivian is Aries' mother and Gary is Kane's father, just to make sure we're all clear on that.
I like your line before this where it says, so I figured out how the story is going to end. I just have to figure out how to get there. I feel like that means you maybe haven't actually figured it out.
No, this was the point at which I figured it out. No, because remember I said in that one dramatic scene, the first one we read, that this was the reason I started the story? That was chapter 3. There are 13 chapters to this story.
Oh my god.
So I had a lot of time to figure out what the heck was going to happen next.
Okay, what should we read to kind of like to kind of like wrap the episode up.
I'm gonna skip to the end.
Okay. Let's go. Scroll.
It's the 2 pages before the epilogue.
Okay. Oh my god, the epilogue's long. Oh my god, I was already in the epilogue. Oh my god, 19 years later, all was well.
So they have somehow ended up in gang territory. Basically, Kane broke up with his girlfriend because she was shitty to Ares. And she is apparently a drug/mafia lord's daughter. So she I had no business writing about all this. I have no experience in any of this stuff.
Can I just ask you before we begin? This character here's name is spelled A-I-R-I-C. Is that Eric?
Is that Eric?
Yes.
Becca,
Okay.
if I could come through this Zoom call and punch you, I would.
No further question.
There's a note at the end of this chapter that says Eric is pronounced just like Eric.
Oh my god, there it is.
Title credits for the chapter to go to Linkin Park.
What? Wait, title credits for the chapter go to Linkin Park. Now I have to scroll up even
What did I
further.
name it? Oh, in
In
the
the
end.
end. Oh my god, this is so funny. Okay, I'm weeping. Okay.
So they have now both ended up at the drug lord's mansion on the docks.
Okay.
Dock house. I don't know. And he is trying to make Ares join him. And she's like, no, will not do. I have my integrity if I have nothing else.
Sure.
So Kane had previously left her a note will you be my girlfriend now that he's free? So Kane, she said, turning her head slightly, my answer was yes. In that moment, they understood each other entirely. They knew each other's every thought, and Kane knew she was not afraid, and neither was he, at least not for her. He knew she would feel no pain, and she would be dead almost instantly. He worried for himself. He was afraid of how he would survive without her. She was his reason to live, and he saw in her eyes he was hers. Very well, Eric said, cocking the gun. Goodbye, Arizona. He pulled the trigger. The blast of the gun was deafening, but the sound that followed was even more deafening. sound. Kane's cry of loss, hatred, rage, and emptiness was the most painful thing Eric had ever heard, but it did not come close to amounting to the pain and loss that Kane truly felt. Eric crossed to Kane. Jimmy, hold out his right arm, he commanded. Jimmy held out Kane's right arm. They were both trembling, but for two very, very different reasons. Jimmy trembled from fear. Kane trembled from rage. Kane, Eric said, you should not have come here tonight. Why I wanted her was none of your business, and now I must punish you for it. Eric cocked his gun again and pressed the barrel to the center of Kane's forearm. He pulled the trigger. It was the most painful thing that Kane had ever felt physically, but it didn't mean anything to him. He heard the...
What is happening?
In his arm, Splinter then shatter, felt the tearing of the tendons and the sudden flow of blood. None of it registered with him. It was nothing compared to watching Ares die. In his last moments of consciousness, he looked to where Ares' body lay in a pool of blood. Ares, he said softly as a cloud of darkness descended upon him.
Keep reading.
Yeah, we have to return to the author's notes at this time.
I cried writing this chapter. Ares was the strong, independent, kick-ass girl that I always loved to imagine in tough situations. This situation she didn't make it out of, though. Title credits for the chapter go to Linkin Park. It seemed appropriate. Sorry for any typos. Point them out if it bugs you. Eric is pronounced just like Eric. One more chapter. Enjoy. If you can.
If you can. Okay. Just a couple things right off the bat. The blast of the gun was deafening. Okay, so what happened? Everyone has been deafened. Okay, and now the next sound is even more deafening. And then we're still making sounds. Which I know that deafening is a metaphor, but it's very funny to be like, it deafened me and then it deafened me harder. Oh, Eric, you probably got really bullied for that name. That's why you became evil and started this mafia gang.
I don't think it's like a normal thing. I mean, I don't speak for the gangs, but I don't think it's like a standard to shoot somebody point blank in the forearm intentionally. It's the way to kill them. It's just kind of weird to me. I don't
Well,
know.
does
I don't
he
know if it's
die?
No,
This
as
he's
hard.
just punishing Cain. He's not trying to
being
kill him.
punished.
Oh, well, then, but the darkness descended upon him.
Well,
Well, he
because
passed out.
You can't get shot and not pass out in a book. It's illegal.
Especially not this one. Don't you notice the themes?
You're so
It's
right.
called. Oh, I was about to say it's
called
called
Full
to die
Circle.
for, but it's called to get shot in the arm for. Okay. I did forget the name of the piece and the name of the chapter. And I was like, well, there's no way she actually got shot. There's something coming back. She's going to come back somehow. She's wearing a bulletproof vest.
Sure. Yeah.
And now I must punish you for such a villain. The way that he speaks. Any last words? Oh my god. Aries.
Suck my ass.
Aries, I hope your empire falls and you lose everything you have. I hope you end up a slave of the drugs you sell and you waste away and die. That's vicious from a girl
Damn.
this age.
Pretty
That's
good.
vicious.
I will
Also,
say, I think this chapter had other than all of the typos, which apparently there were
Yeah.
more of than I realized.
Sound, and heard. Very funny to me.
I think this chapter had my best, like, emotional writing of, like, what was going on. Like, even if the hyperboles were excessive and very deafening, apparently,
Deafening.
I still feel like you definitely felt it more than we have anywhere else so far.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
It was
I
very
love-
heartbreaking that she's like, Cain, my answer was yes. Just before,
Yeah, that is
Her-
very heartbreaking.
yes, her demise.
It's like a I love you, I know moment where it's like, oh
Yeah.
no, what could have been? Oh my god, they knew each other's every thought. Please, God, grant me no one ever knowing my every thought. There's a lot of
Yeah,
really
no one
intrusive
needs to
ones.
be in there like that, man.
A lot of really intrusive ones. Our friend Paul, I was talking to his mom about this, the 3-week-old. The whole time you're holding an infant, you're like, what if I just dropped him and he broke? The whole time. Nobody needs to hear those thoughts,
No.
you know?
The invasive thoughts are crazy. You're like,
Yes.
his head is so squishy. What if I just...
And I'm not even his mom. Mia's probably sitting there like thinking some crazy shit. Anyway, I love you, Mia. Gonna get you on the show someday. And Paul. Just kidding.
Paul.
Should we peruse the epilogue to wrap this
Yeah.
up?
Yeah. We should do that. Sure. So, a year later, did you want me to just read the whole thing? It's kind of long.
Why don't you pick the highlight? Oh god, it is long. Let's pick some highlights and then, as always, hit the author's notes.
Okay. As always. They deserve it, honestly. Aries left him the house. Apparently, she had time to write him a will. She's 18. She owned the house in the first place.
What? What is happening? She's making me feel like a really, really idiot 33-year-old. Like, what am I doing?
Oh, well, no. It's because, spoiler alert, Vivian died in the suicide by cop instance when they came to get her marijuana.
What? Wait, suicide by
sorry.
cop? Can you explain what is suicide by cop?
It's when you, you go into a situation with the intention of you aren't going to make it out of it, so you're going to take as
Okay,
many of them
okay.
down with you. So you, draw on them. So they are forced to then shoot you.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, wow.
So,
well, good. Vivian went out with a bang, like she always wanted.
So Aries has now left Cain the house, and he has not brought himself to come back to the house until this day, a year later, for the dramatic epilogue. They also, Aries' birthday was the day she died, and they had a tradition where they would buy each other gifts for both of their birthdays.
Okay, that's cute.
And
that's really
with
cute.
that,
Wait, I kind of want to do that.
so it is cute. I'd go broke.
Oh, sure, yeah.
That's double the presents that I have to buy for people every year.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So he's perusing the house, and he finds a closet door that's open. That's odd, he thought to himself. Why would the door be open? He went over to the door and opened it to look inside. There was nothing remarkable about it. It was empty, like the rest of the room. He didn't understand why the door would have been left open. Then he saw a box laying in the corner. A box that looked rather like a music box. A box with with an inscription on the cover. How many times can I say box?
Say box
my
one more.
God.
He picked up the box!
You can put these things in one sentence.
From underneath fell a card. He picked it up and read. It read, "A very merry unbirthday to you, Ari." Kane sat down. He knew this would take courage to open, and yet it would be cowardly to not open the last thing she had gotten for him. He opened the box. Inside lay a 9mm pistol and a cartridge of ammo.
Oh my God, Ari,
box-
chill. She will not chill even in death.
The box was made as a show box. The lining of the box was designed to perfectly fit the shape of the gun. Kane couldn't handle it anymore. It was almost like Ares had known what would happen, that she would die and he would end up like this. He broke down crying. He let out all of the sorrow and anger that he had been holding in for the last year, even the betrayal he was feeling to some point. When he finally had cried himself dry, he was exhausted. Exhausted in more ways than one. He was exhausted in the way that he needed to sleep, yes, but he was also exhausted of life. He didn't want to live anymore. He looked inside the box again. He knew what he was going to do. It was the only thing he could do. He couldn't go on without her anymore. Not like this. He picked up the gun and cradled it lovingly. He flicked the safety off and put the gun to his temple. He shut the box and looked at the inscription on the front again. The inscription that Ares had put on the box specifically for him just days before she had died. "Till death do us part." Bang.
Oh
my God.
My God. I think this is the first on-screen suicide we've had on the show.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm so glad to have won that award.
We've had an on-screen murder. I just remembered the Black Dahlia episode, but wow. I actually did not see that coming. I was pretty shocked by that.
Did you pre-read this before we came on?
No, I do my best to just scan it. I do my best to scan it to make sure it's, okay, but I like to have organic reactions because this was very surprising. Oh my God. Okay.
This is why I wanted really bad to get to the end, because I was like, we need to discuss the fact that it's a tragedy before people decide if they want to read it or not, because that would be a very rude awakening.
That would. Oh my God. It's like Romeo and Juliet.
Kind of. Okay, to the author's notes. This ending is very powerful for me. It's almost like Ares knew what was going to happen to her and knew how Kane would end up as a result. But then the fact that she brought him a gun and had the case inscribed with "Till death do us part" meant that she knew how miserable he would be. It was like she was saying, "I know how you feel. It's okay. When you're ready, we can be together again. I give you permission for all this to end." I would like to say my mental health is much better now than it was 10 years ago.
Okay, good. I'm reassured.
I feel like that's an important caveat at this point in the story.
If you care about your best friend, do not give them a gun to commit suicide.
Yeah, no. I mean, how does she even know there's definitely an afterlife? You know what I mean? What if it's
True
just
that.
I'm just saying.
I like where it said, it's almost like Ares knew what was going to happen and knew how Kane would end up as a result. Oh, it's almost like there's this big orchestrator pulling all the strings. He knows exactly what's going to happen to every character.
You know what that kind of reminds me of? You remember in the later seasons of Game of Thrones when the horrible producers would come on and say really, really, really obvious shit after every episode? It would be
those were the writers, yeah.
The writers. Oh God, worse. They'd be like, it's crazy. It's almost like she knew that this was the way it needed to end. And it's like, well, you wrote it that way, and this is not what we're looking for from behind the scenes action.
Yeah, for sure.
We want to know what happened behind the scenes. You're just summarizing what we just saw.
David Benioff ruined Game of Thrones, but goddamn if he didn't write one of my favorite novels in the world, and he's so goddamn cute.
He is a cutie pie. Okay, yeah,
cute.
please read the rest of the author's note here.
I hope you've enjoyed this story, or at least as much as you can. If you have any questions... If you have any questions, comments, or you just want to talk, feel free to comment or message me. Love you all for sticking through this story with me. It's the first one I've ever stuck with till the end, and also the first I've ever published in any way. I hope it wasn't too awful. Thanks for reading, Bekah.
Oh my god. Okay, well, first, congrats on the first story you ever stuck with through till the end, and the first one you published anyway. We'd love that.
Probably won't happen again.
It's hard. When you posted this, did you put like a trigger warning on it?
10 years ago, trigger warnings weren't a thing, so no.
Wow.
I did put trigger warnings on my submission, though, because I was like, we know better now.
Oh, yeah. That's so funny. I didn't even like process that because, as they say in my
it's like a 40-page
reading groups,
document.
No triggers. No triggers. Oh, wow. Leela, what are you thinking about this resolution? Like, did you see it coming?
I know I didn't think that it was gonna be like a thoughtful, like, here, honey, go ahead and kill yourself.
That's so fucking bananas. I'm gonna say it again. Don't give your friend that.
He didn't leave enough poison for me.
There's a line that we skipped because, it's a 40-page document where she's like thinking about what she's going to buy him. And she all of a sudden goes, oh, I have the perfect idea. And when I was annotating, I wrote, it was in fact not the perfect idea.
It was in fact a really bad idea. He like opens the music box and it's a suicide hotline number instead. That's what you do. That's what you do for a friend. I like this line. Kane knew this would take courage to open, and yet it would be cowardly to not open, the last thing she had gotten for him. It's kind of, I love when people say the same thing twice, but you got like, and yet in between. It's like, no, courage to open, coward to not open, same thing. We don't need a and yet.
I think my intent with that sentence was probably more courage than he currently had. And yet he couldn't give in to that cowardice.
Okay. I got you. Oh, sure. 10 years later, you're making all the sentences make sense.
Look, at least that proves that I'm good at editing now, because I sure wasn't then.
True. Oh my God, look at us growth. We love growth. I love that we got like a whole story here. I feel like even though we skipped a lot of it, I really got the gist.
Totally.
And to die for. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all coming together.
Bekah, what year you might have said? What year was this written?
Probably 10 to 12 years ago. I think I was probably 14 or 15.
Okay.
So 2012, 2014.
Yeah, probably somewhere in there.
The darkness of in suicide and stuff was kind of cool at the time. That's what songs all had in there, and yeah, I feel like I understand a little bit.
Maybe not cool, but definitely a little glamorized.
More
prevalent, yeah.
For. The same as with cutting. How that was so glamorized.
It was definitely the tail end of that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
But hey, self-harm and suicide's not cool. Don't do that to yourself. If you're listening, we love you. And
yeah, and when here's a music box, when you open it, there's gonna be a suicide hotline inside.
When that hotline bling, it can only mean one thing: don't kill yourself.
Okay, wait. I think we need to develop that suicide hotline, Leela, because that's very funny. You could convince people not to kill themselves by making them laugh with song and dance. I actually really like this.
I could do that.
Also, if any of us have said commit suicide during this episode, I apologize. That's a phrase I'm currently working on. You got to work on changing. I think the preferred terminology is died by suicide because it is not, it's not like they did something bad and illegal. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, commit a crime,
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this may be the first time I kind of already feel like I know my answer to this question.
Okay.
But I'm going to ask you first, Bekah. Bekah, do you think that to die for is horny, sad, or just plain bad?
It's got to just be sad. It's a tragedy. I have no other words.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I don't find it... I mean, we certainly didn't read over any horny parts. Was there sex in this?
No.
Okay.
The mafia dad was a little horny. Maybe I was just
That
horny
was
for
just you,
Mafia, Dad.
You could maybe argue that like the fact that like Ares loved him and like was so happy with that like is the smidgiest smidge of horny.
Sure.
But that's a really hard argument to make. I
It's
feel
horny,
like.
horny adjacent. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's so hardened. Like, I'm sorry we keep saying this, but like Katniss Everdeen.
She's such
like
a Katniss.
so.
But Katniss has so much trauma.
It's true.
Ares just has a drunk mom.
I'm gonna go also full sad on this one. I think it's our first full sad.
First full sad. Yeah, for me it's sad as well. Spoiler.
Oh my god, full sad. Leela, did you write a jingle yet for when it's full sad?
Oh no, it's full sad. That's okay. It's still kind of rad. Don't kill
Ooh.
yourself.
Okay, yeah, I like that one a lot.
That was
Right
good.
off the top of the dome.
Yeah, gonna have to put a trigger warning on this one. Well,
Absolutely, please.
Bekah, thank you so much for coming on the show. To Die For was very fun. I had a lot of fun skimming through it and roasting it. And thank you for bearing your soul to us.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. It was a lot of fun. I honestly, this is cringy, but it was not as bad as I expected it to be.
Good, yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's like nice to look back and you're like, the content can be a little cringy sometimes, which is why we're all here today. But the writing, I feel like sometimes you look back and you're like, you know what? I really did know how to spell. That's cool. You know, stuff like that.
Yeah, and isn't it cool to look back and be like, oh, little Bekah, like, she was really trying. Like, good for her.
Good for her.
Good for me for not being this cringy anymore.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. We've come so far, baby. And we definitely want to get you back on the show, Bekah, someday to talk about some smut.
Oh, good.
Hell yeah. Well, that's it for Burn Before Reading.
Until next time, remember,
Your cringe is part of you.
but only a small part of you.
Thanks for listening to Burn Before Reading.
Created by me, Christina Kahn.
Hosted and produced by Christina Kahn and me, Leela Hilton.
Logo designed by Michael Hardison. Follow him on Instagram at RoyGBivRVA or check out his work at wildlingpress.com.
Theme music by Sakura Wishes.
Find me online at Christina Kahn.
And find me at Leels for Reels.
Follow the podcast on Instagram and Tumblr at BurnBeforePod.
Or feel free to give us an email at burnbeforepod@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening, friends.
See you next time.
Dave X Media.